Welcome back to the channel, everyone. It looks like we have a September sneak peek #1. What a morning to wake up to. But let's get into the teaser that we have from the forums, and then we'll check out a couple of things, and we'll do a dive deep into Damnation, Doctor Strange's comic book run. So it says, greetings agents, this is CM Fragment of Marvel Future Fight Team. Something terrible has happened in Vegas. Immediately triggered an emergency response from the most powerful and mystical superheroes. The tower appears to have manifested a terrifying atmosphere, early reminiscent of the Hell, but there also seems to be a casino-like entertainment facility inside. We decided to consult a hero who is an expert in supernatural occurrences. Don't miss the September update if you want to wield the full power of the Sorcerer Supreme. So, as you can tell from this little blurb, it's pretty obvious that Doctor Strange is going to get a new uniform, because he's obviously our Sorcerer Supreme. But I want to actually highlight this little bit. I'm hoping maybe something a little special, possibly with some casino-like entertainment facility, maybe a new arena, some new game mode. I'm hoping, but we'll see. Let's flip on over to Twitter, take a look at what they've posted, and we can kind of go from there. A little just further evidence of a Doctor Strange. It's pretty clear here. After a spell gone awry, Doctor Strange must combat the hellish evil unleashed upon Marvel Future Fight V640 update, sending him on the path of damnation. So let's take a look at this clip, the sneak peek. It's only 25 seconds long. It's actually half that. It kind of does it in rewind, and then we'll dive deep into the comic book run that it comes from. Because it's already kind of spelled out here that it's the Doctor Strange Damnation run by Donny Cates. So let's take a look. Oh man, it's just so good. So we'll talk a little bit about what we're kind of seeing here, and we'll kind of get into the little details of this little bit. Pause this. So in the fight, in this comic book run, Doctor Strange, in his infinite wisdom, decides to bring back Las Vegas after it's been destroyed by Hydra during the events of Secret Empire. Unfortunately, along with the bringing back of Vegas, restoring it to its former glory, he actually brings back a demonic tower called the Hotel Inferno, which is what we're seeing in the clip itself. Doctor Strange walking to this Hotel Inferno. Mephisto explains that he was just minding his own business in hell when Las Vegas and the people essentially dropped into his lap, and didn't know what to do to entertain all of them. So he erected this hotel for him to endlessly torture the people. So it's Doctor Strange's fault for bringing the hotel to Earth, essentially, is what he's claiming. Since Doctor Strange is the focus of the sneak peek, I want to talk about it, certainly, but we have to kind of do it sort of at the end when we were talking about that look, him getting a new uniform, all that. That's more into spoiler territory. I don't want to cover it right at the beginning. I'll cover it right at the end. But we'll talk about the other characters and potentially other things that we might see in this update. As with all of Donny Cates' books, there's a lot of characters involved. Interestingly, though, it isn't... it's not like everyone has a brand new uniform. It's not like we're getting massive uniforms for everybody here. Although there are some notables, which we'll talk about, most of them are actually wearing their nudist uniforms that are essentially already in game. Doctor Strange is obviously taking on the Mephisto, and he brings this team of Avengers. We see a little bit of Falcon legacy here, Mighty Thor, Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, and T'Challa, the Black Panther. Also, we have a Hawkeye over here. And what happens in the plot line is that essentially Mephisto turns them into Ghost Riders. So they have this flaming head kind of thing. I don't think that we'll be getting this uniform, because basically it's them in their uniform and a flaming head, and it's kind of not really something that you turns them all into villains and this, that, and the other, but they're essentially pawns from Mephisto. They don't have like a huge arc in this story. But who does have a good arc is Wong. Wong actually assembles the team that we come to know as the Midnight Suns. It includes Dr. Voodoo, which we hear back here, with a little bit of a change to his uniform, nothing really huge. We have Man-Thing, we have Elsa Bloodstone, Moon Knight, Mark Spector version of Moon Knight, and then we have Ghost Rider down here at the bottom. Man-Thing, like I said, could be a brand new character, but he doesn't have a huge part in the story as well. I would prefer to see characters like Elsa Bloodstone, maybe even Blade, get character reworks. I think that would be much more of a payoff. But we could see a new uniform for Moon Knight. This one is not in-game, the Mark Spector businessman suit kind of look. But also not in this shot is Iron Fist, who's also a big part of the Midnight Suns. Iron Fist, though, does have his traditional look that we're kind of used to, and it's already kind of in-game now, the classic look. We also have a couple of appearances from the Scarlet Spider, Ben Reilly, which potentially could be a new character, and he's essentially tasked by Wong to protect the outside of the hotel while the Avengers, or while the Midnight Suns are having a battle on the inside. So Ben Reilly sitting on the outside here could also mean that we could get Kane, because Kane has a little bit of a run-in with the Scarlet Spider on the outside walls as well. So that would be interesting if that's a potential that we may even see. Another characters that we might get in this run, potentially Dormammu has a different look than what he has in the comics, or what he has in the game already. He has the more traditional flaming head look that we're used to. He's rocking a sword this time around. The suit is more red. But we also have Clea, who is somewhat close to the way that she looks normally. She does have the shoulder pads, but this one's a little bit more, has a little bit more design to it, I suppose. So it could be something that we're seeing. I would like to, get a rework for both Dormammu and Clea, since they're desperate need of a rework. So definitely we want to see that, and want to kind of rebuild them for the new sort of where we're at. As stated earlier, Mephisto is the main antagonist of this story. So we're going to have to see him in the game in some form. He's such a grand character. It would be cool for him to be like a world boss or appear in GBR, but there's always that opportunity for a new game mode in some way to kind of feature him. Something casino related, that'd be really kind of interesting. Preferably it's not a gacha game, but some way to battle Mephisto would be quite fun. And Mephisto, as you know, he's such a can change size and this, that, and the other. So it's very, very interesting to see what kind of powers he'll bring. It's just, he's such a cool character. We kind of have to see him in the game at this point, right? At this point, we do have to get into spoiler territory for the rest of the comic book run. We can't really talk about the entirety of the update without it. So if you're planning on reading Damnation, stop here. It sucks that we can't really talk about what's happening to the other characters in this game, in this mode, but I want to kind of issue that spoiler warning right off the bat. Now that I've kind of done that, since we're dealing with Mephisto, we're going to see a return of, and we'll likely kind of get a new uniform for Ghost Rider. With Mephisto on the seat with Mephisto kind of sitting on Earth, the throne in Hell is actually vacant. So Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze, who challenges Mephisto on Earth, Mephisto separates Blaze from the Spirit of Vengeance. So they essentially become two separate entities. And Blaze, during that fight with Mephisto, falls to his death. He actually dies. We find out later on that it was Wong's plan all along that Wong would be or that Johnny Blaze would be able to go through the gates of Hell with the Spirit of Vengeance and find himself sitting on the throne as the Lord of Hell, right? So that's a very, very interesting look, potentially leading to, this comic book run ends up creating Ghost Rider's own story of as the King of Hell, and potentially bringing that King of Hell uniform, which I won't preview here. We'll see if it comes to fruition, but it's essentially Ghost Rider with that big horn helmet. So it's very, very interesting to see if that's potentially another look. So yeah, I would definitely want a rework for Ghost Rider. I know they've talked about it. I know we've seen that being on the list of things that they want to do. Dormammu as well. So that those are kind of the meat and potatoes of what this update really kind of going to be about. So, and what a cool look for Johnny Blaze to be like sitting on the throne of hell, right? Like that's just awesome. But I want to get into the focal point of the sneak peek itself. I'm not going to play the video again. We kind of already saw it, but I want to highlight some things that we're seeing here about the uniform that we may potentially getting. Worth noting are the two separate arm looks that he has. That I'm pretty confident that this is Doctor Strange. Not some folks are speculating that it might be Mephisto, but let's talk about Doctor Strange. We'll get into that other detail later on. In order to defeat Mephisto, Doctor Strange turns into what's being called as the Avenger God. I think this is what we're seeing in this sneak peek. It's like what we're with his gauntlets, his arms. So what's that essentially mean for the game? You see, here he's assuming we've got that glow of the gauntlet here. There's something that transforms essentially Doctor Strange. He strikes down Mephisto, and that's how he kind of wins the battle. This is that look. This shot is actually not from Damnation. It's from the Doctor Strange annual, but it's a power level that Doctor Strange hasn't come across before. So essentially, you know, I think that's indication that that's where we're going to get. Doctor Strange right now in the state of the game is not very far from the top. It's not like he's fallen off the complete wayside like, say, a Dormammu or a Ghost Rider or something like that. He's still relatively meta, so I think it'll be roughly a small upgrade. We'll have to obviously see the details and see what that comes. But let me know what you guys think. I'm excited for Strange. He hasn't gotten a uniform in 2 years, but does he necessarily need one? I'm not necessarily on the board for that, but it's fine. If it's the way to get in to get other characters like Mephisto, like Dormammu, like Ghost Rider, like Bloodstone, like Blade, if they all get reworked, then I'm all for it, right? I know that we covered a lot. I'm not sure if, and I'm sure with other sneak peeks, we're always going to see, 4 or 5 more. So the hype train is definitely running for this update. I'm a big fan. I can't wait. But thanks again for checking out the channel. As always, thanks again for watching, subscribing, leaving comments, following, checking me out on Twitch. I absolutely love it. Those are always greatly appreciated. But until next time, as sneak peeks will roll out, I'll bring them to you. I'll bring out my point of view for them. But until then, be well, be safe, do good, and I'll see you guys soon.